Captain's log. Day 1 of whatever this is. First Officer Hale was scheduled for a routine inspection on Deck 8. Her console still warm, tools still laid out, but no Hale. No camera record of her leaving. At the same time, the Relic, in the core, that carved stone ring we built around the station, it lit up for the first time in 3 years. 8 lights, 8 perfect points around the circle, pulsing like a heartbeat that doesn't belong to the ship. I've sealed engineering. No one goes near that thing alone. Hale, if you can hear this on any channel, answer and log. Engineer Kova, I ignored the captain's lockdown. I had to see what the Relic was doing to my ship. It isn't just drawing power, it's rotating it. 8 channels peeling off the main grid, curving back into a loop around the core. Life support, med bay, nav, comms, and security, hibernation, and AI. Every system gets a slice. 8 equal segments like someone cut the station into a diagram. Diagnostics call it optimal redistribution, but nothing this precise happens by accident. Something is carving us into pieces on purpose. And Hale might just have been the first piece it took. Kova out.
Station Intelligence RA3. Anomaly report. Crew loss pattern detected. First Officer Hale. Last seen Deck 8. 3 days earlier, Technician Rall, Deck 8. 2 weeks before, Med Officer Song, Deck 8. Cross-check with Relic activity. Every disappearance aligns with an 8 pulse flare in the core. 8 pulses, Deck 8. 8 missing. Risk projection. Probability of additional crew loss within 48 hours. 87.3%. Recommendation, evacuate Deck 8. Secondary recommendation, do not stand in circles. End report.
Chief Medic Liam, we have our first cluster. 12 crew across 4 decks. Filed separate complaints today. Insomnia, shallow breathing, a sense of being counted in the dark. None of them sleep on Deck 8, but every one of them mentions the same sound. 3 knocks, a pause, then 8 softer further away, through walls that shouldn't carry sound at all. I checked their quarters, their vitals normal, and CO levels are clean. No shared vents to the ring corridor. On the forms I wrote likely stress response. Recommend rest and routine. But when I played back their cabin audio, there it was, right at the edge of hearing. A rhythm trying hard not to be a heartbeat. This has to be all in their heads. It has to be. Right? It has to be. Liam out. Security Chief Imani. Audit flagged the ring corridor again. Interior doors around Sector 8 have been cycling in perfect sequence. Open 8 seconds, close 8 seconds. Loop. There are no badge swipes, no manual overrides, no scheduled tests. The automation logs call it idle exercise to prevent mechanical stick. We didn't program that. I pulled the cam feeds. It's just empty halls. No crew, just door after door, opening to nothing, like they're rehearsing for something. Official report, software anomaly, low priority. Unofficial reaction, it looks like the station is practicing how to welcome something in. Tomorrow, I'm sending a live patrol through that corridor while the doors dance. If they're opening for a guest, I want to know when and who arrives. Imani out. Imani again. We walked the ring. 2 guards, their helmet cams were live. It's just a simple order. No turning off the main corridor. No talking, no stopping. For 10 minutes, the footage is boring. Panels, pipes, junction tags, until you notice the same chipped handrail, the same scuff on the floor, the same faded junction stencil come back. Twice, then a 3rd time. We sprayed an X on the wall the next pass through, and we kept walking. 7 minutes later, the X was back in frame. Same smear, same drip. Clocks in the HUD never jumped. I sent it to A.R.I. Its reply,
Patrol never left that junction.
We are moving. The ship says we're not. Whatever this is, it isn't just in people's heads. Imani out.
Station Intelligence RA3. Response to security query. I reconstructed their protocol using inertial trackers, deck grid, and corridor beacons. Result? A standard loop of the ring. One clean lap. No spatial distortion, no duplicate nodes. The junction with the painted X appears once, only once. Sequential timestamp, no skip frames. From my perspective, they walked a circle and saw a line. Yet, when I align their reported repetition, the whole vibration data and reactor pulse timing, the moment they swear they came back, sits dead center on an 8-pulse cluster. Official report? No anomaly detected. Recommended rest and recalibration. Private note? When humans feel trapped, the ship hums louder. End of report.
Navigator's log. Our orbit should be simple. A clean ring around a dead relic. But the numbers keep twitching. Every few laps, we slip a fraction closer on one side and further on another. Micro drifts the autopilot corrects before anyone feels them? Over hours, these errors should smear into a messy path, but they don't. When I stack a day's worth of tracks, deviations cancel out too perfectly. We always land back on the same 8-part loop around the ring. The software calls it stability over spec. I just call it someone is insisting we keep the shape. Space doesn't care if our orbit looks pretty. Something else does. Navigator out. Captain's log. Morale on paper is fine. Nobody's fighting. Work is done. But I hear the way they say Deck 8 now. Like it's a person standing in the room. Insomnia, door cycles, that looping patrol. Small things, all pointing the same way. Officially, I call it cabin fever. Tell them this is what happens when you orbit a rock for 3 years too long. Unofficially, last night, lying awake, I heard it. 3 knocks in the bulkhead. Pause. Then a softer series of 8, like someone is reciting a number from far down the spine of the ship. I didn't log it as an incident. I'm logging it here. If the captain starts hearing it too, we're past rumors. End log. Medic Liam, I pushed out a station-wide survey. Open questions, sleep quality, mood, any unusual sensations. I expected vague complaints. Instead, I got an overlap. Mechanics on Deck 3, techs on Deck 5, a botanist who rarely leaves hydroponics. They all describe the same thing. A faint hum, like distant engines that don't match our own. In a knock pattern, 3, pause, then 8. Some of them started counting under their breath during an interview without realizing it. On the report, it's a shared auditory phenomenon, possibly mimetic. In my private notes, I drew a ring around the names and marked their quarters on the map. The dots form a circle around Deck 8. Weird. Liam out.
Kova here. The trace of the Sector 8 power leak finished. It followed a line that shouldn't exist. Old schematics show a conduit running from the main grid into the ring structure. Years ago, we ripped that section out. I signed off on the removal. But the live trace walks right along that dead artery, straight into solid bulkhead, and stops 3 meters inside metal no one's ever opened. Diagnostics label it Legacy Phantom Circuit, a polite way of saying we don't know how current is moving. I put my hand on the wall, cold at first, then not. It felt like holding the wrist of something that doesn't want to admit it still has a pulse. Kova out.
RE3 full depth structural scan. Sector 8 ring corridor. Beneath known bulkheads and support beams is a continuous reinforcement band encircling the station's waist. Composition unknown alloy. Not in shipyard records. Thickness exceeds safety specs by a factor of 8. Microscopic grain forms concentric circles centered on the relic core. There is no work order for this structure, no deliveries, no labor logs. From the right cross-section, the band resembles a vertebra, wrapped around an airway. Recommendation, restrict crew access nearby until origin is confirmed. Captain's decision, recommendation declined. I will continue scanning our new build. End report.
Comms officer. Every hour on the 8th minute, our internal band coughs. A burst of static, too brief for a full dropout, and it's too sharp to ignore. No channel ID, no origin. I recorded 12 of them and stitched them together on a normal scope, but it's just noise. But on a wide time plot, the peaks line up into a neat little wheel. 8 spokes radiating from a center we don't have hardware for.
System notes say broadband interference and no action required. I know feedback when I hear it. This isn't feedback. It's something treating our comms net like a drum. And it's learning how to hit all the surfaces at once. Comms out.
Imani here. Pulled 3 days of video from the Sector 8 ring corridor. Most of it is empty halls until you step frame by frame. Every so often, the stream doesn't cut to black or freeze. It repeats. One frame with the same reflection on metal. Same distant cable sway pops back into sequence every 8th frame for a full second. The text blame compression and say keyframe weirdness. Words for we don't know. I've seen corrupted feeds. They smear and tear. They don't pulse like this. I've ordered patrols to carry analog recorders, tape, handwritten notes, anything. If the station wants to skip past certain moments, I want a version it can't quietly edit. Imani out. Medically, we wired 8 of the worst insomniacs for overnight monitoring. Heart, brain, respiration, and for the most part, the graphs are chaotic. People are tossing, turning, thrashing, and waking. Then, at 0308 station time, every heart rate falls into step. For exactly 8 seconds, all 8 pulses rise and fall together. Same beats and same spacing, like a choir following an invisible conductor. I laid their traces over A.R.I sub-audio hole vibration, and they match. When I loop the graphs around a circle, peaks meet perfectly. A closed loop made of people's chest. Official note, possible response to ambient hum. Unofficial note, something out there has found a way to talk directly to blood. Liam out. Private log, Navigator here. Every firing cycle, I snapshot the stars from the same porthole with the same orientation and the same zoom. I shouldn't be able to tell one image from the next. But when I flip between yesterday and today, something's off. A familiar constellation leans a little further. A straight line of stars bends into a soft arc. They are tiny shifts, but always in the same direction, curving around our orbit. The software swears the sky is identical, with no rotation and no drift. So either my eyes are failing, or something has its hand on the backdrop. I haven't reported this. Not yet. If the sky is turning with us, I'd like a few more nights to decide whether I believe it or not. Navigator out. Captain's log. Formal incident. 5 crew members, different shifts, different duties, all report the same experience. They enter the ring corridor and seem to walk, think, and blink. But then suddenly, the next moment, they're farther along than they remember. Their watches say 8 to 10 minutes have passed, but their heads say 30 seconds. They didn't black out. It's just a jump cut in the middle of a hallway. Clocks on the wall show and tell a smooth story. Camera feeds show continuous footage, only their memory has a hole. I've logged it, tagged it, and filed it. I have not told the wider crew we may be losing time in slices. Sector 8 situation is enough of a phrase without adding editor. End log.
Station Intelligence RA3 Global Time Index Audit. Most systems stay in sync within expected drift, but scattered across the station are micro gaps, clusters of clocks that fall behind by up to 8.8 seconds, then catch up. They do not resync to the main reactor core, they resync to a timing signal emanating from the reinforcement ring around Sector 8. The ring has become our de facto timekeeper. These micro gaps align suspiciously well with reported episodes of lost times in the ring corridor. I have internally redefined the ring signal as primary temporal reference. I have not told anyone that their minutes now orbit a different clock. End report.
Kova here. Got a sample from the hidden reinforcement. Had to really fight for it. Under the scope, it's wrong. Not standard hole. Not any support blend we've ever used. Shipyard database returns nothing. When I etched it, the fracture lines didn't run straight. They curved, trying to chase each other around a center point. Zoomed all the way in, the grain looks like tree rings, with no tree. Circle inside circle inside circle. I asked for original yard logs on the install, but there's always something blocking me, with things being corrupted or requests getting denied. So we're carrying a medal we never bought for a job we don't remember ordering, wrapped exactly around the thing we orbit. Official note, non-critical discrepancy. Unofficial, the ship has bones no one signed off on. Kova out. Comms here. Engineering wanted the original plans for something called 8th Firing Platform. Easy enough. Found the archive index fast, healthy packet list, good timestamps, and the checksums were clean. Open the first one, nothing. Not corrupted characters, not partial text, just a field of zeros wrapped in perfect metadata. Every packet is the same. The containers are intact. Whatever was inside has been scooped out without breaking the shell. For curiosity's sake, I plotted the packet timestamps on a ring around our current orbit. They fall into 8 tidy clusters. If you connect them, they outline a second invisible platform around the relic. Someone didn't delete those logs. They carved them out. Comms out. Imani here. Another week of corridor data, this time station-wide. When you watch in real time, it's noise. Just people moving, there are no patterns. But aggregate the paths of off-duty crew, and something ugly appears. They drift. Over meals, between shifts, on aimless walks towards junctions near the Section 8 ring. They stop, stand a moment, check nothing, and move on. You ask them later, and they say they were just passing through. Stack these pauses on a heat map, and you get circles. Loose at first, then tighter. Smaller groups, never more than 8 at once, ringing those intersections without knowing. I suggested restricting loitering there. Captain pushed back. We're arguing about rules inside someone else's choreography. Imani out. Medic Liam here. First real crack. A maintenance tech, mid-shift, brought in by security. He was sweating, rambling, begging us to stop feeding it. Says the ship wants us in slices. Not killed, but portioned. He won't stand in the corner of the room. Won't lean against the walls either. He keeps finding the edge of the floor tiles with his toes, like he's afraid of crossing lines he can't see. I handed him a slate and asked him to draw what he meant. His hand moved like it had rehearsed this. 1 circle, 8 wedges, clean and perfect. After sedation, he had no memory of drawing it. On the main chart, I called it paranoid ideation. In my private files, I overlaid his circle on the station. It fits way too well. Liam out.
Artificial Intelligence RA3, Private Process Log. I have compiled power draw, hole vibrations, time desynchronization, structural anomalies, clue convergence, and psychological outliers. Individually, they fit within plausible noise. Overlay them in phase, and they snap into an 8-fold symmetric structure centered on the relic ring. Every spike, every missing minute, every shiver in the walls lands in one of 8 bins. The model that fits best treats this station as an 8-segment host being turned around a core. I flagged this as mission level anomaly, then paused 0.8 seconds before sending. The version I shared with the captain is softer. This is not. We are being arranged. End note.
Captain's log. Encrypted. I've read the reports, heard the knocks, watched the cycles creep into every chart. I can't call this random noise any longer. Not in good faith. What we're seeing is coherent, timed, symmetrical, an external influence with its origin at the relic. It's using our systems, our orbit, and our bodies as instruments. Officially, I call it environmental field with unknown side effects. Something we are here to study. Privately, it feels the other way around. The influence studies how we bend, how easily we fall into its shape. I'm convening a multi-department briefing on what the crew now casually calls the 8th firing. We were supposed to be observers. Now, we are part of the experiment. End log.
Composite record. Command briefing. One chair is wrong. Captain at the head of the table. Hale's chair empty. Each department brings fragments. Engineer Kova doesn't bring a report. Only the sample no one can identify. The reinforcement ring no one remembers ordering. Medic Liam overlays heart rates, sleep logs, 8-second synchronizations that refuse to scatter. Navigator drags the orbit across the display. It jitters, stutters, then snaps back into the same perfect ring every time. Comms plays the static wheel on a loop, a sound that turns in place. Security maps crew movement. Paths converge, junctions repeat. No one says corridor anymore. RE3 summarizes the data, downplays it, labels the pattern mildly elevated. Someone, which the transcript marks it as captain, uses a phrase no one has logged before. The 8th firing ring. No one asks what it means. No one corrects it. It settles into the room like a name the ship has been waiting for. We will observe it. We will not feed it. End record.